likes to do a lot here, what we've seen a lot of times with them, is get an initial knock onto the other team inside the lobby and then full push on their opponent.
I'm just looking at the utility at the top of the screen there, Blank, and just see how stacked the Wolves are on it. The question is, can they hold out against this high ground for long enough? The high ground will still be in just a little bit. There we go with Batten, finding that opening knock. Playing up on the wall, that should be reservable by Coops. I mean, look at the number of smokes they've got. They should be able to play that one. Marceau does take a tick of damage. Here goes the off angle for Wolves yet again. Trying to strike, but the blue zone will push him off fairly soon.
I think Ulf also understands now there is one player down, potentially time to try and get rid of this thorn in their side. But Carriage takes a 2-2 on this one. They know they can play this one out slightly slower. The circle is going to pull down over towards Wolves. I think realistically, if all the players headed over towards it, this would be a lot nicer. Yes, they'd have less, but when his team's coming off from the hillside, Wolves 3, it's still doable.
Kara's stepping back into the blue and taking a lot of damage for it. CEO and Poser's position now very, very tenuous. Getting around the back of the rock going to be very, very tricky. They might just have to go for a full crash. They don't have any smoke to cover them either. It's all in the Wolves' pockets. And Ulf as well, just fighting for their second place. It's unfortunate, but we'll see what they can do. Rock's now starting to become a bit of a prison for our teams. The circle closes, it'll go dead center, Blank, and that's just on the roadside, right in front of the wall doorstep. And that's what you're looking for. The spray down, Coops and Doran open up the cannons, and there is the backup as well. CEO flushed away, and now it's two players for Kara. Looking for Solus, looking for Aaron, looking to try and stop them from getting anything more done, but no, Kara denied. So it's going to be just one player. He hits the deck, Marceau under pressure.
Doran will take down Marceau, and that will leave us down into just the two Ts. But a great shot from Ketch over towards Doran. The headshot is strong. Now it's just two players here, all in the same location. If Ulf can get the smokes down, get up with some utility, potentially there's some good to be done, but only one more smoke left in the pocket. No more utility remaining. They have to do it dry here, John.
And they're going to be walking into a wall of grenades as well as bullets as they go on in for the fight. They need to beat, and they are playing house right now. The Wolves can construct a compound for themselves with those emergency cover flares, and there is just nothing that they can do about it. The Wolves, the Battle of Wolves at the end as well. All of the logos repping the dogs, but it is the US champions to come on through at the end of the match. What a close down for this game.
I mean, actually, the first time we've seen emergency flares being used quite well there in terms of the emergency cover. I don't think we see it used very well a lot of times, but right there, that actually was good. You know, it gave them a lot of angles to play off the back of. I think North America is going to be very happy with the way that one played out. But yeah, really, really well played. I think for the Wolves, there was that slight mistake of taking that off angle on the side. I don't think that was as necessary as they thought it was, particularly with where the circle was ending up. But again, it's hindsight is 20/20 in those situations. Still for Kara and Ulf, despite both those teams going down in second and third place, I think they both had like high double-digit games on the elims. So everybody profited there. Everybody profited.
Yeah, those two high grounds were impeccably placed to farm points from the lobby. A brilliant result for the Wolves. And NA, hopes alive, maybe.
Yep, okay. Emergency cover flares finally being used as they should.
And somewhere out there, a bald eagle sheds a tear of joy, baby. The Wolves get a chicken dinner right when they needed it the most. That was probably one of the best rondos we have seen all tournament long here, Max.
finally, a non-Eastern Rondo finish. Yes,
Right.
finally. And a near stadium finish too, which is always very fun to see. Wolves, very, very early fights they took in Neox Factory, right? Able to hold off that position away from E Arena and actually winning that fight early on. They're moving behind on the eastern side into the city portion of stadium. And as Blank said at the end of that casting there, Niptura, finally using good emergency cover flares, which is so rare to see, it feels like. Finally, salvation is real. The cover flare meta is now real. Let's go.
Yes, it took them a little bit of time to kind of figure out how to best use them, but it really felt like they got their own. They got into the mojo of things right with this game. Really, really nice cover flares coming on through from lots of different teams as well. So very excited, but man, Wolves finally. We've been wanting to see it all 3 days. We finally see it now, just when they needed it. And honestly, it was a really well played. I mean, okay, it was a little bit messy. In fact, it was a little messy, just slightly at the very end there. But the way they held off, the way they were able to just control, and go forward was great.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough, right? Especially because of how great Kara did in this game. With that performance, Max, they gotta top the leaderboards, right?
Kara, genuinely, it's not just their team that's great at team fighting at this point, Hot Jukes. The way they execute fights and rotate to initiate those fights is a thing of absolute beauty. Not what APG did in those replays. That was horrible. That was a horror movie right there. But Kara genuinely have such a good idea of how teams adapt to certain scenarios, and they just try and find the perfect counter to it, especially in that fight versus, I think it was Orangutan and Alpha Gaming fighting in that little container compound. And they just understand instantly the weakness, right, Niptura, of that position, which is, well, you're all going to be very spread if you want to hold down the containers, so guess what? We're just going to fight all your players one by one, use all of the man advantage to successfully take the fight while taking very minimal risk, exactly in the replays here. Kara, this is... yesterday, and now already in this Rondo game.
Yeah, we've seen them win games and do really, really well with their edge play strategy, but now we got to see a glimpse of them in their CQC. When they actually try and push somebody, when they try and third party somebody that isn't on the edge, we actually saw what their team synergy is like, and it's really, really good. So it's really nice to see that side of them come to light here in Rondo, and it just works so well in their favor.
And all the Wolves fans, right? All the Wolves fans for a second, right? They became Kara fans, right? Because Xavier started to push on them, and Kara ended up taking them out, saved them, and then immediately after we're like, okay, Kara, stop, calm down, right? And look at the hype, man. Oh, I love seeing that reaction because I mean, you couldn't have asked for it at a better moment in time. 24 points on the board, but look how stacked this is. You got Ulf with 20, Kara pull up 19, Alpha 7 with 13. This was a wild game, Max.
Yeah, I want to talk about Ulf. Finally, some presence, not just in terms of, oh, we get central hilltop and we just wait and get easy top 3, only placement points, no eliminations. No! 6 placement points, 14 bloody eliminations on board for Ulf. This is making me so happy, Niptra, because you said it for Kara, right? You wanted to see them play like they were playing in the past. I wanted the same thing for Ulf, and they finally delivered here on the first game of the day. And it's not too late. Top 7 with games like this is definitely still doable for this squad.
No, 100%. And I feel like they really learned a little bit of a lesson from yesterday's Rondo, right? Because they had the high ground, they got sandwiched between 2 different teams, and they went the full-on passive approach. This time, they were not passive at all. They found themselves in the same situation, and they did what they needed to do. So really, really well done to them. As we can also congratulate Doran. Because 5 elims, he's going to be the MVP of this match. Love this for him.
We need to let Hodrix pop off here with an MVP of Dorian. Go for it. Hodrix is...
MVP, let's go, baby. I'll take that all day long. Let's take a look at the leaderboards, though. Kara have now passed up Thunder Talk here, so they are just on a tear at this point. Looking down later on the leaderboards, though, look at that. Ulf right behind the Xavier now after that performance. Man.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ulf from 13th position up to 8th again, but we said it multiple times, Hodrix, on a pre-show. It is still so close between these bottom teams and the 7th place rank, right? And now, one good game like this from Ulf, don't even need the win, just a high elimination match. Of course, it's going to be a bit buffed up because it was a Rondo game with a recall system, but that was enough to put them back in the conversation. Though a team that's still dropping, I have to bring it up once more. Virtus Pro, man, they had such a stellar first day, and it's just been dwindling from there on out. Virtus Pro, we know they have the potential. They need to capitalize because now everyone else is stepping up to the plate except for Virtus Pro. They need to do something literally this next game, or otherwise they might be out of the conversation at the halfway point of today.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally possible. By the way, you know, you saw the Wolves, right? They were in 8th place. They jumped all the way to 5th right there, knocking some teams down. And that's the crazy thing about this Neptura, right, is how stacked this lobby is. Everybody is hunting down one of those 7 slots. It's going to get tighter and tighter as it gets closer to the end of the day here for that last position, right? With Wolves passing up so many teams. We got Virtus Pro knocked down. DRX, right? I want to talk about this team. Because when it comes to emergency cover flare usage, these guys put like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath on the market in this last game. It was wild to see.
Yeah, Dick Xavier really just deciding to go all in. Wait, Dick Xavier was a DRX?
DRX.
DRX? Okay, so DRX coming on through here. I mean, they did what they need to do, really. I mean, we were so concentrating on all the chaos going on that zone was actually really tough. You had one massive high ground, you have one city held by wolves, and the rest was pretty open. So DRX did exactly what they needed to do. They had one shack and went, well, we can't fit us all in here, so let's build, let's construct, let's get some cover flares going. And it worked really, really well. It actually helped them survive a lot longer than they normally would have, and that's exactly what those cover flares are for.
It was a shack until they put down like 6 emergency flares. Then it became a mansion. Okay, very comfortable. They had a garage and everything. Okay, they parked the car. They were having a great time in that shed. But unfortunately, as you said, it was a shed, so it really kind of made it really hard for them to transition outside of that area later on in the game. But as you said, it kept them to survive a little bit deeper in this game, get a few more placement points. But it is still not the DRX I want to see. Even though they got a win yesterday, I was still not sold. I'm like, DRX still a little bit inconsistent. Not what you want to see from that South Korean team that we know can do great stuff, especially during Pmgc where they just dominated that tournament from start to finish. DRX still need to see a little bit more presence. But by the way, looking at these top 4 gunslinger stats, 2 players over 1,000 damage. You don't see that very often, but here it's coming out from Scarface and Eren, the rising star of Turkey. We keep calling him that, and it's for a reason, because this guy can put up numbers on the biggest stage here in PUBG Mobile Esport.
Yeah, beautifully done right here. I love to see just such a little bit of point sponges and big shakers on the leaderboards, right? You know, speaking of, you're talking about inconsistent, Max, right? I got that. They keep that in.
Gonna go for their.
Ali, that fight around the bubble is really important. APG losing Ziol there on the off angle, not going to be able to win that challenge, and Virtus Pro will continue to move through. Leave them in the dust, let the blue zone do the work. The heavy lifting not necessary on their part, but Milky Way is down. I don't think they've got him in a vehicle. I think they've left him behind. Yeah, they're not going to be moving in with 4, so 3 players now for Virtus Pro.
I mean, it's pretty telltale, that situation of just like the dichotomy between Virtus Pro as well as APG is that when Virtus Pro is rotating there, when they're taking the fights with 3 or 4 players, and every time we saw APG fighting there, it was a solo, right? A solo trying to make a solo play, the hero play, and I think APG needs less of that. The teamwork just isn't quite there yet.
It's unfortunate. I mean, you kind of expect it to be though, right? Like this is a team of veterans for years and years, right? They should be playing better, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not good.
You do expect the solo plays from the man on your screen on the right, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, well, maybe they all want a little bit of the limelight, and now nobody gets it. It's not very illustrious performance from APG so far, and they've got GS just over the ridgeline to the front. It's difficult to crest over and take shots down. You expose yourself to so many angles. If you're GS, you can't risk going too far forwards. We'll see what more they can do. Mad Bulls, okay, they find a knock over towards Wolves, find a second as well. The Wolves crashed in. They've been okay for a while now, but now they're under a lot of pressure, and there's that first flush coming through.
Like I said, Lemon with the nades, man. In this area of the map, he is good with it. Now there's one player remaining in Coops. Nade does quite a bit of damage, and they look to finish off the job. Mad Bulls add 4 players, and what a jump out coming through from Lemon.
Oh, third party. Kara moving in. They're already on this roadside, and Blank, they might not have their full squad, but they're still going to be able to do damage, and the Mad Bulls have to worry now more.
I mean, they do find Poser right off the rip there. OG, though, finding a little bit of damage over towards Pusher. Need to pick him back up off his feet. Bit of an awkward position to get into. Luckily, the vehicle's already burnt out, so won't be taking too much damage there. Ulf is slowly encroaching down towards the south side versus OG. But again, OG could pick up a lot of points off the back of this, but are struggling to find those eliminations.
It's been a tough time for them to do that, and you're right, with Ulf moving in to their route out into the open, that's going to make things harder, and it means they do need to commit a little bit more to clearing out their south side in order to get away from this one. Thunder Talk trying to cross the road in Rozhok, it's so difficult with DRX as well in the background. Alpha 7 feeling a little bit safer, but they have to move as well, right? Alpha 7 have to go a little bit further south. The move is easier for them, but it is definitely tougher for Thunder Talk right now.
I mean, Alpha 7's first port call here is to get rid of Thunder Talk on the crossing on the road, which is why they have this massive smoke train lined up. It's a great nade thrown down, but no massive value found off it in terms of the knock. But it is DRX, which is the true issue here for both teams.
Get across, but at what cost? Sighting the last player to stand, and then Aid's going to sit him down back on King across the road. Still has not made that dash. The smokes have started to run bare as Revo picks up the point. DRX though, the major profit makers there. Reckon Kaya as well. Hang on a minute, they're chiming in. They've got Wild and Zed Wolf on the flank. They've pushed them out of school up to the north, with Moxie holding down the west cut. See what they can do. Mad Bulls, they have to deal with Kara, but CEO is able to claim a point. Looks for more as well. With the auto shot, he pops the reload. Not going to find the name. They're leaking.
CEO once again the big earner on the team, looking to put more points on the table. Nade down the stairs, already 2 found in a 1v4.
CEO, Chief Elimination Officer, Kara, half their front man. He's dropping down the stairs. He wants to take the fight in. No. Backing off. He's giving them the slip. Oh, he's playing this one pretty crazy. And DX Xavier have joined the party now, Blank. They've moved on in. You can see Levi's now up on the lineup. You've got Lambor as well on the south. They need to push through this. The circle sits on these buildings. The only respite is inside.
OG, the arbiters of this. Again, I feel at this point in time, you do want more points, and a lot of these points are just being siphoned by teams that keep rocking up towards this location. I think OG would much rather hold on to the warehouse here, it seems, rather than clearing out this position. Shots from the side down. That's Loxy. That's a very long-range shot coming through from Loxy there, but a good pickup from OG. They will steal away that elimination, which is what we were looking for.
CEO on the top floor. In the C-suite there. He is not having the greatest of times. I mean, Mad Bulls, 2 of them, he's already dealt with 2 of them, sure, but that just means that the Mad Bulls aren't going to present as many angles to them. Normally, if you're playing as 4 against 1, you are rushing up those stairs, you're turning
over towards R8 as they attempted to disengage away from Alpha 7. And I do think Alpha 7 is the big story here right now. The fact they were able to dismount DRX from that top side, DRX opts to head down towards school. Yes, it's a very strong spot, and they do want it, but again, it is crazy to me that Alpha 7 was able to get away from all of this action and still maintain control on the north side. DK takes a knock from OG as we head over towards placement point territory.
I think, did Geeke take down Ulf in the middle of all of that? I think they might have done, because that's where Ulf was sitting. Geeke had 5 elims, and at the moment, that's an interesting turn-up. Getting rid of Ulf there, getting rid of DX Xavier as well on the 7th place bubble. With 4 players alive, OG on the south edge now have to make a move, but they haven't had to before. They've been held fairly strong in that center area, but they're right on the edge now, and they need to get across somehow. They need to figure their path.
Yeah, it's a tough rollout now to make from OG. They made themselves known over towards Geeke as well when able to secure that full flush over towards them, so they know where they're coming from, and they are coming out from a small lip on the hillside into open area. APG still going strong with Doc and Pop though. This dynamic duo from the team. They're the only 2 players that actually respect one another.
So it would seem, at the moment anyway, but they are right up to the edge of the zone now. That ridge line, that little valley that sits there. Oh, AKOP having to reposition. He knows he has to get in because those reses have to be happening fast now. 2 seconds, the zone's closing. They don't have the time to be picking up their teammates here. One of them's already fallen down. AKOP, I mean, committing to this res, I just don't think it's going to happen. WizGod, you have to give it up, brother.
Yeah, again, like I was saying, this is such a horrible rollout for OG. You really can't make it happen very well, and I think the fact they held out in this position for so long is already quite admirable. But yeah, as soon as you have to leave from this spot, it's just death.
Yeah, they transition there, just not possible. Away from that area, and Geeke actually kind of taking command now. Like, they moved Ragnarok out into the open. One of the very few teams that were in a position to maybe even allow that. They're serpentining in the rest of them as well as they make that crossing. Hyunbin doesn't quite manage to flip it. OG looking to piece themselves back together. There's still one more dash in them, but they are trapped now under the watchful eyes of Obscure. The rest of Alpha 7, Geeke, everybody's going to be looking this way.
Still a 4th place. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. You get far into the game of this one. Get some placement points for your troubles. I think they were able to pick up a couple of eliminations here and there over on the south side of the map. DRX trapped on the other side. And this is what I'm talking about. The fact that Geeke's got here, I don't know how it's possible. OG's taken no shots their way. Understandably so, because they are struggling themselves at the moment. But yeah, you could. I don't think you can count. I don't think you can count Geeke out on this game. I think they had a pretty decent transition from where they were on the western side. Blue just stopped short of OG, of WizGod and AKOP. It is going to be those little underhand lobs though coming from Alpha 7, which will be treacherous for Geeke in the coming moments.
They've got literally nothing to play with on that south side. Let's see what they've got here. DRX as well. They don't have any nades, which is pretty important here. Means Geeke are a little bit safer. Alpha 7 wanting to try and channel their ordnance forwards. Nade over to Obscure. That is a big pickup. Geeke, they've taken down Ulf already this match, so they've got to be feeling themselves. Ragnarok potentially moving into danger there as Creo spots him. It will be faded away from. The health bar is getting a little bit pink, but it'll be okay for the time being. The reposition is good, and the nade is even better. Carrillo able to land it, tracks the movement well, but there they go. OG standing up, and they spot Nurse, and they go for the flush immediately and hit the deck once more, but they will pay the ultimate price for it. Maybe another point earned, but 4th place for Elims will be where they find themselves drawn to a close on the game. DRX moving into position as well. Hyunbin on the back flank to Alpha 7. Misao going down.
No way,
Ever vigilant finds Hyunbin, but over the top go Geeke. They look for more. Into the fold they go. Alpha 7 down to 1. The flank out from So Easy looks for a shot on the sidelines. It's not going to connect, and it's Geeke with 2 versus 1 from Alpha 7, and they shut it all down. Geeke from the bottom of the tables. Finally, a breath of life.
And now they don't look so bad anymore. I think the main positive here is that they're kind of like an out on par with APG and E-Arena. So I said at the beginning of the game that they were massively lagging behind everyone else, but at least they can. If they end Gauntlet in top 7, it'll be insane. But if they end top 7 out of it, at least they can say that they weren't the worst team by a mile.
I mean, this is really monumental, not just for their points tallies, but for confidence, right? It's like they can do it. We are able, we have that possibility. Alpha 7 denied as well. That was unfortunate. Felt like it kind of got away from them there. Not quite able to close down that high ground. But Geeke with a miraculous turnaround in the open field. A crash, a full 4v4 against both who we saw have that performance in that last game. And they were able to win it out. They transitioned into the open field when we thought it was impossible. But my goodness, what a close down.
Yeah, very well done. Let's see what the desk had to say about that game.
Get the chicken dinner all the way from the bottom of the leaderboards. We were talking about how those teams at the bottom needed a chicken right here, right now, Max. The question is this just too little, too late?
Maybe it is, but I don't think it is. I think this is the light at the end of the tunnel here coming out from Geeke. A win when they desperately needed it, and they finally secure it. And you know what? The plays here were so aggressive, so confident from Geeke, looking like a completely different squad compared to what we saw in the first 2 days of the Gauntlet. But there's one play in particular I know you're very passionate about. That send on the ridge here was the big game-winning play from the entirety of Geeke.
It was so nice, and I want to point out they were not worried about OG behind them at all. Not at all, because they were looking at A7, back turned around. OG were nothing to them because A7, they knew that the moment that OG tried to take any shots onto Geeke, A7 would have their back because they would just shoot over the top. So it's a really well thought out play to actually go just send straight to the middle over to A7 rather. Yeah. And it worked out. I mean, Saf G with 1,000 damage coming in here.